everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so sorry that I haven't posted in a while. I've just had a ton of stuff going on and I'm really hoping to get back to a more consistent posting schedule in the future. I have recently been thinking of doing a absolute beginner ukulele crash course sort of thing. I don't really know a proper name, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, and that is why I'm here. I'm not sure how many videos there are going to be in this series, but this is the first one, and today we're going to be talking about really what the ukulele is, what are the parts of the ukulele, and also how to tune your ukulele. All of which I personally think are very important things that you should know before you start playing. Let's get started. Let's first talk about what a ukulele is. So a ukulele is a 4-string string instrument. It's played by strumming or picking, and there are multiple different sizes of the ukulele. This is a concert-sized ukulele, and this is a soprano. So this is the smallest size. There are 4 main sizes that you can get. This is the smallest, this is the soprano. This is a concert, which is second smallest. And then there are tenor and baritone, which are the 2 larger sizes, both of which I don't own. But for beginners, I highly recommend starting with these 2 because they're smaller and they're just easier to navigate, and they still retain that light cheery tone. And sopranos are also generally cheaper than all the other sizes, so this might be a good deal for you if you're just starting. And both of these work equally as well, just that the larger sizes might have, larger frets or larger spaces that you're gonna have to spread your fingers across. So the smaller the instrument, the better it is for you to start. But obviously that's up to you. These are just what I recommend for beginners. Let's get started with the parts of the ukulele. I like to think of the ukulele as a person. This is the head, this is the neck, and this is the body. Let's start with the body. This is the body of the ukulele, and the body is really the largest part of the ukulele. On the body, we have the bridge, the saddle, and the sound hole. Let's start with the bridge. So the bridge is where all the strings are tied to kind of an end, and it just holds all the strings tight and in place. And the saddle, which is on top of the bridge, it's another piece of wood. It's that white piece of wood there. And that just makes sure that all the strings are in their designated places so that the strings aren't moving around all over the place every time you try to play the instrument. There are many different styles of bridges, many different types of bridges that are out there, and depending on the instrument that you have, the brand that you got it from, the price that you paid, all of that stuff, the bridge that you have can vary. But essentially all bridges do the same thing, and the purpose is just to hold the strings tight and in place, and just be a place for the strings to come to an end. Okay, moving on to the sound hole. This is actually my favorite part of the instrument, and I personally think it's probably one of the most important parts of a ukulele. The sound hole, basically what happens is when you play, the sound is going to vibrate inside the body because this is hollow, and then once it vibrates, it's going to escape through the sound hole. So the sound hole is how the sound gets out to your audience, and without the sound hole you wouldn't have sound, so it's really important. Moving on from the sound hole and the body and the bridge and everything, we have the neck. This is the neck of your instrument, and this is really where your left hand lives the entire time you play it. On the neck, you will have kind of this surface here, and this is called the fretboard. On the fretboard, you will have kind of these bars that run across and these spaces. And so the bars are called fret bars. These kind of lines that go across, those are called fret bars, and the individual spaces are called frets. In order to play the instrument, you're going to be pressing down on one of the strings on one of the frets, and that's going to give you your desired pitch and tone. The higher you get on the instrument, so like that's going to be higher than something that's down here. So the higher you go up, the higher the pitch, and the lower you are, the lower the pitch. On your fretboard, you're also going to notice markings. Mine just happen to be triangles. There are different markings that are out there, and depending on the instrument that you have, this can most definitely vary. But those are called fret markers, and they're generally placed on the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, the 10th, and the 12th frets. The point of these are just to be benchmarks, just so that, if you're trying to find a particular fret, you don't have to count up to that fret. You can just look down and it'll just help you find your frets faster, because you can just look down and find that fret from that point, if that makes sense. Luckily, fret markers are not only found on the fretboard, they are also usually on the side of the instrument right here. And the point of these is so that when you're playing and you're performing or whatever, you don't want to be looking over. You're going to be playing the instrument in an upright position, and you're going to have the instrument in an upright position. So you just want to be able to look right down and know what fret you're at and where to go. So these fret markers on the side are going to be able to tell you that without you having to look over and trying to find those frets. Okay, that's about it for the fretboard. Moving up just a bit, we come to the nut. This is the nut of a ukulele. It's another piece of wood. And essentially the point of the nut is the same as the saddle. It just holds the strings in place, making sure that they're where they need to be, and that they're not going all over the place when you play. I don't know if the camera can capture it, but I don't think so. But there are these little grooves that are in the nut, and it's basically where the strings are laid through. If you look at your own ukulele, you might be able to see them a bit better. That's the nut. It just holds everything in place. Moving up from there, let's go to the head. This is the headstock. This is called the headstock. And then on the headstock, we have pegs. These are called pegs. And once again, depending on the instrument that you have, the price that you paid, the size, that whatever, depending on the instrument that you have, the pegs, the type of pegs will vary. And I have seen so many different types of pegs out there, but they all essentially, again, have the same purpose, and that is to tune your ukulele. It's just to make sure that you can tune your instrument. Okay, speaking of tuning, let's move on to the strings and how to tune them. So your strings, you will have 4 strings: G, C, E, and A. Those are the 4 strings on your ukulele. When it comes to tuning them, I recommend when you first get your instrument, and this is exactly what I did, but being gentle, of course, mess around with the pegs and the different pitches that you can get with the pegs. Try to notice, if I move the peg this way, the pitch gets higher, and if I move it this way, the pitch gets lower. So just totally mess around with the pegs. In musical terms, higher and lower is flatter, sharper and flatter. So higher would be sharper and lower would be flatter. So just try to mess around with the pegs, and I'm going to show you right here as an example. The designated peg for that particular string is going to be, so you're going to find that string, you're going to go straight up, and you're going to find that peg. And you're going to be able to just kind of mess around with that particular peg. So that's the peg that'll change the tone of that particular string. So I'm going to show you an example here. This is exactly what I did when I first got my ukulele, and it really helped me understand my instrument a lot better. So that's higher and that's sharper. Back to A. It's lower, which means that it's flatter. Back to A. So, of course, be very gentle, but this is exactly what I did, and I did this with all 4 strings, and it really helped me understand what does what on with the pegs, and it really changed kind of how I approached tuning. Speaking of tuning at first is not really necessarily hard, but it's definitely an interesting experience when you first do it. So I highly recommend that you go online, find an app, or just Google it up, or sometimes instruments will come with kind of a clip-on tuner that you can clip on, but generally all of those things, what they have in common is they will usually tell you the note that you're playing is too sharp or the note that you're playing is too flat. So turn it up or turn it down, depending on what pitch your note's at already. And so, being able to tune like that, it's a great way to train your ear and just know exactly what you're doing. After a while of doing that, which is exactly what I did, after a while of doing that, I graduated from that to my piano, which is right there. And I started using my piano. So that just includes playing that note on the piano and then matching it. So saying, is my ukulele, is that note higher or lower than the note that I just played on my piano? And so tuning to your piano is a great option if you have a piano at home. But for complete beginners, I completely just recommend starting off with like an actual tuner and then working your way up to this. I really hope this video helped. I really hope that you found it interesting, and I can't wait to continue the series. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.